very good evening and welcome to NewsWatch this 5th day of July 2022. Thank you so much for joining us for the latest news. I'm Tony Omondi and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. Now, the Uwiano Platform for Peace has once again raised alarm over rising cases of hate speech on social media platforms. In the month of June, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, through the support of the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, managed to flag out 31 cases of hate speech, which have mainly been linked to political campaign rallies. Twitter has been identified to be the main platform for hate speech in the period under review, with a total of 16 cases compared with 7 cases identified on Facebook and 5 cases on TikTok. As Kennedy Kimani reports, NCIC wants political leaders to refrain from invoking ethnic affiliations and using provocative language that may lead to violence, discrimination, and other human rights violations, especially during campaign rallies.
In the month of June, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission flagged out 31 cases of hate speech on social media, which have mainly been linked to chaotic political campaign rallies. Of the 31 cases, Twitter has been identified as the main hate speech platform, which has led to the Uwiano Platform for Peace raising an alarm over the increased cases of hate speech online.
In the month of June alone, through the support of UNDP, a total of 31 cases of hate speech were flagged out. The cases have mainly been linked to campaign rallies, with the Jacaranda rally contributing the highest number of the cases identified. Twitter has been identified to be the main platform for hate speech in the period under review, with a total of 16 cases compared with 7 cases identified on Facebook and 5 cases on TikTok.
With exactly 34 days to the August polls, Uwiano Platform for Peace say they have witnessed social media campaigns to discredit the credibility of IEBC, on which aims to project the IEBC as incompetent, thus sowing doubt in citizens' perception on the ability of the IEBC to deliver credible results they can believe in.
We are concerned by the increasing number of hate speech cases in the social media platforms, with chaotic rallies being a trigger for incitement on social media. We are also concerned with the discrediting of government institutions that is currently ongoing on social media space, which is one of the roadblocks to peace, as they lead to apathetic citizens who are more likely to be incited to violence.
Political leaders have been urged to refrain from invoking ethnic affiliations and using provocative language that may lead to violence, discrimination, and other human rights violations, especially during campaign rallies.
As Uwiano Partners for Peace, we wish to reassure Kenyans of our commitment towards ensuring peace before, during, and after the elections. We are accountable to safeguarding the peace and cohesion for the prosperity of all Kenyans from all walks of life.
As the country gets to the home stretch of the August polls, politicians have been discouraged from a pre-poll zoning of regions within the country so as to avoid polarization of supporters during this campaign period. Kennedy Kimani, Hope TV Newswatch, Nairobi.
Moving on, Moi University is set to announce redundancies and lay off part of its staff following financial constraints that have been affecting the institution for years now. Vice-Chancellor Isaac Kosgei said in a memo that the institution has been struggling to meet its needs and is currently unable to sustain its growing wage bill. According to Kosgei, the wage bill has been taking up 70% of the capitation from the exchequer. Kosgei said the institution will consider the right sizing of its human resource to ensure sustainability of the university and its operations. The university has, however, not mentioned the number of staff to be laid off. According to the Auditor General, in 2020, Moi University recorded a deficit of about 504 million shillings. The university's debt has, however, been rising, with last year accumulating a reportedly 4.5 billion shilling debt. Let's now move to the campaign trail. Azimio la Umoja, one Kenya presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga and his running mate Martha Karua on Tuesday began yet another tour of the vote-rich central Kenya region to drum up support for their bid and their ambition to take over from President Uhuru Kenyatta. The duo set out from Nyeri County and are expected to tour Kirinyaga and Kiambu on Wednesday and Thursday, respectively. On the other hand, the Kenya Kwanza team, led by their presidential flag bearer, Deputy President William Ruto, took their bottom-up economic model campaigns to Isiolo County. Ruto maintained his stance that the closing of ranks by President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga was responsible for the high cost of living being experienced in the country. Grace Ongoi reports.
The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga, together with his running mate Martha Karua, began a charm offensive of the vote-rich Mount Kenya region on Tuesday to popularize their bid to take over from President Uhuru Kenyatta come August 9th, in what is seen as a campaign to wrestle the region from the grip of Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate William Ruto. The two began a series of rallies in Nyeri County and are expected to move to Karua's home county, Kirinyaga, on Wednesday and proceed to Kiambu on Thursday before moving on to Western Kenya for the weekend. Addressing a series of rallies in Chaka and Karatina, Odinga promised to tackle the issue of high cost of living in less than 100 days of his administration, despite the unrest in Ukraine.
Changamoto ambayo imekuwako ili vita napigana kule Ukraine na vile vile ukosefu ya bei chakula katika soko ya ulimwengu ndio imefanya hiyo yafanyika, lakini sisi tuko na mbinu na suluhisho ya kushusha gharama ya maisha chini.
Odinga pointed out that corruption was slowing down the process of ensuring the nation achieves improvements in sectors such as health, education, agriculture and industry, among others.
Fisadi ni hujuma ya mali ya umma. Wale ambao wanaingia pale na wanatoboa hazina zenu, wanarogota pesa, alafu natoka naye wamebeba na magunia. Hiyo inafanyika, ni kweli, hakuna uongo. Uhuru alisema ati kila siku Kenya inapoteza shilingi bilioni 2. Tukiziba pale ambayo hiyo pesa inatoka, Wakenya watatajirika kabisa. Sawa sawa.
His running mate Martha Karua, on the other hand, trained her eyes on their Kenya Kwanza rivals, with Karua saying Raila has a track record that is unmatched and deserves to be supported by the region in the upcoming polls.
Nikiwa nyuma ya Raila Amolo Odinga na wenzangu wengine wote, tutawafanyia kazi na mtafurahia ile kazi tutafanya. Ukiangalia wapinzani wetu wamekuwa kwa serikali kama sisi, lakini hakuna sifa hata kidogo wamepata. Ni kila mahali wanapitia, wananchi wanalalamika mali yao imefanya nini? Imepotea.
Meanwhile, in Isiolo County, Deputy President William Ruto continued with his popularization of the bottom-up economic model approach. Addressing cheering crowds, Ruto maintained that his economic model was the only way to uplift the millions of youths out of employment.
Bottom, 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 bottom. The trickle-down economic model has failed. It creates more poor people and fewer rich people. Munataka tuendelee na trickle down yenye mnangojea ile inatoka juu, amujui itafika lini, ama munasema tubadilishe tuanze na chini safari hii?
Ruto, while revisiting the KEMSA scandal where about 7.6 billion shillings were lost, pointed an accusing finger at the handshake, saying that it had brought about an increase in corruption within the government.
Auditor General has revealed that 10 billion shillings were lost. Bilioni 10 pesa ya serikali imepotea, ile ingefaa inunue COVID, inunue madawa ya wagonjwa wa COVID. Mimi nawauliza, si hawa watu wamekuwa wakituhubiria mambo ya ufisadi? Si wamekuwa wakituhubiria mambo ya ufisadi? Mimi nataka niwaambie watu don't preach to us water while you take wine.
Ruto faulted opinion polls as fake and what he said were misguiding Kenyans as to whom was popular amongst the electorate.
Nasikia kuna watu pesa ya corona ililetwa ya vaccine. Wawa wezi wa serikali wakaripia vaccine milioni 10 na ile ilifikia wa Kenya ni vaccine milioni 1.5.
Mwaka huu lazima mtoto ya maskini na mtoto ya tajiri wakae meza moja waamue maneno ya Kenya.
Tumewashinda na manifesto, ati wa sasa wamebaki na mambo mawili peke yake. Wamebaki na opinion polls, fake opinion polls. Wanasema sijui nani yako na kura ngapi, nani yako na kura ngapi, nani yako na percentage ngapi. Mimi nataka niwaulize nyinyi watu wa Isiolo, opinion poll itapiga kura ama nyinyi ndio mtapiga kura? Si nyinyi ndio mtapiga kura?
Grace Ongoi for TV NewsWatch.
Away from politics, President Uhuru Kenyatta has called on the Intergovernmental Authority for Development, IGAD, heads of state and government to work together towards sustainable solutions to challenges that pose a threat to regional peace and security. President Uhuru cited violent extremism, drought and armed conflicts as some of the challenges that require urgent attention from the IGAD leaders. Speaking in Nairobi during the 39th Extraordinary Assembly of the IGAD heads of state and government, the president said no progress will be realized without peace and security. At the summit chaired by the president of the Transitional Sovereignty Council of the Republic of Sudan, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, President Kenyatta assured that Kenya will continue to invest in regional efforts to secure peace and stability.
Now we come together to address the challenges that are bigger than each of us individually, as well as grasp the opportunities that are of mutual benefit for all of us. This summit meeting, Your Excellencies, is an unmistakable sign of our solidarity and eminently improves the standing of our organization. It also sends a clear message to the region and the international community that leadership is seized of the pressing matters in our region by our own selves.
It is incumbent upon us to work together and to do so boldly and creatively to navigate the multiple crises that we face, seize opportunities as they emerge, and define a path of peace and sustainable economic development. It is, ladies and gentlemen, in our interest to do so, because I do believe we have a shared vision to become a politically stable, peaceful, and prosperous region. And we know very well we cannot achieve sustainable development and prosperity without peace and security. Our discussions today are therefore of immense importance to Kenya and our region, because we in Kenya recognize that our political and economic stability is dependent on the stability of the IGAD region.
Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has assured that the government remains on course to ensure there are enough classrooms to facilitate the smooth transition of grade 6 pupils to junior secondary school by January 2023. Addressing the press in Mombasa, CS Magoha said that CBC classrooms will be domiciled in secondary schools except in cases where the primary and secondary schools share the same compound. He said that they have approved private schools in urban regions to construct standalone junior secondary schools and to increase their space. Magoha pledged that the president's commitment to complete over 3,500 classrooms will be met shortly after Kenyans go to the polls.
We are more than ready for transition. In fact, I'm feeling more ebullient now because we already completed all the 6,497 classrooms, all of them. And we are starting the next lot about now. You will see my officers and myself across, including here in Mombasa, breaking ground again. And we want to give the nation a word of corner that by the middle of September, which is what I think we shall be having the next government, we shall have completed the 3,500 classrooms. Therefore, His Excellency the President's promise to the public will have been fulfilled. In addition, we shall have added another 1,000 classrooms, which are ongoing right now under the SECIP program, which was delayed because of one or two hiccups.
Meanwhile, education stakeholders in Nairobi have deliberated on the various educational provisions in the different manifestos to ensure sustainability and continuity in the education sector. The tools kit iSkills TTI, a youth skills training organization, Habitat for Humanity International and the Kenya National Qualifications Authority highlighted the opportunities for youths in the construction sector and Kenya's recognition of prior learning RPL. The policy will have a direct impact on the job market as well as the informal sector in the country.
We are saying that let the school system, let parents pay attention to these other competencies, because when they combine with academic subjects, then together they drive the success of our young people.
One of the things we want to do is think through the different approaches that can help redress some of these imbalances that we see within the education sector, so that education, which is for all in Kenya, is also an equal form of education where every child benefits equitably.
The children who are currently in Standard 7 all the way to Form 4 are definitely going to miss this opportunity of learning some of these skills that are really important for young people in the modern world. So one of the things that we are probably encouraging the government is to look for a way in which teachers' capacities can be strengthened, teachers at those other levels and in the old system.
The Kenya Editors Guild has engaged with the Media Council of Kenya, MCK, and the National Gender and Equality Commission towards enhancing gender-responsive reporting during the August 2022 campaigns and general election. The National Gender and Equality Commission has promised to continue to facilitate agencies to ensure gender inclusion. Dolly Murigi has more.
As the country gears up for the general elections, different stakeholders have been sensitive to media reporting basically on gender. 2 months ago, the National Gender and Equality Commission, NGEC, pronounced itself on the matter of electoral preparedness and advised election actors and stakeholders to ensure that the electoral process is inclusive by complying the principles of equality and inclusion ahead of the August 9th general elections. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, directed all political parties participating in the upcoming general election to adhere to the two-thirds gender rule in all the required elective posts, and according to the National Gender and Equality Commission, it will continue to facilitate agencies to ensure gender inclusion.
We want to monitor and ensure that all our stakeholders who are candidates in this election are indeed given balanced reporting, not because at times there's this thing of only the big wigs getting the reporting, right? We want to see a headline in the news with one of our female candidates, or many of them, and how they are progressing with their elections. We want to see the MCA lady down at the grassroots in some very remote area being covered, when she's going down to her campaign platforms. We want to see that as a headline. We want to see that catching the papers.
Where gender rights are violated, the Kenya Editors Guild have a duty to hold those responsible accountable.
We think there should be an immediate review of prohibitive laws and policies and administrative procedures in both print and electronic media that may be impeding the career development of one gender over others. Media houses should encourage equal and full participation of women in the gathering, writing, and producing of hard news, especially stories that have to do with politics, crime, violence, science, and technology.
Women in politics have always asked the media to help them change gender stereotyping in politics to increase the number of women in the profession. So far, a number of aspirants have shown interest of being deputized by women, further closing the gender gap in Kenya.
The National Gender and Equality Commission acknowledges the role of the media in advocating for gender mainstreaming, the reduction of gender-based violence, and overcoming stereotypes in Kenya. And you'll wonder why I'm saying this. It's because we are an oversight body. and we monitor, we audit, and we have been monitoring you and auditing.
I believe in the next couple of years, we should be able to experience or elect Kenya's first female president. I cannot wait for that day. But I can feel it's coming. I can feel it coming.
Dolly Mariki, Hope TV, Nairobi.
All right, with that report, let's take a short commercial break on NewsWatch. We'll be back shortly. Don't go too far.
You know we can't forget them. And neither can you. Enjoy all-time classics every Thursday at 11 a.m. Hope TV is now available on GoTV Channel 103, Zuku Channel 873, Signet Channel 817, and StarTimes Channel 026. Enjoy our uplifting content and family-friendly programming anytime. Hope TV, you look and live.
Thank you for staying with NewsWatch. And Siaya Senator James Orengo has rallied ODM supporters to vote for ODM party candidates to Parliament in the upcoming general election to avoid hurdles in Raila's government should he clinch the presidency. Orengo, together with the East Africa Legislative Assembly member Dr. Oburu Odinga, said the predicament facing the United States President Joe Biden, where he has not been able to drive his agenda through the U.S. Congress, awaits Raila Odinga should he become the president without a significant number of parliamentarians. Speaking at Uriri in West Game Ward, where they met ODM grassroots officials, Orengo, who is eyeing the Siaya governor's seat, said the country might miss a lot should the National Assembly and the Senate decide to frustrate Odinga upon succeeding President Uhuru Kenyatta.
As you know, numbers matter in presidential elections. Percentages matter in presidential elections. Votes that are garnered in every county matters in presidential elections because there are many thresholds that must be met. And I think everybody was here was of the opinion and resolved that we must go out there and get people out to vote. You can see in the United States of America, the president there has not managed to drive his agenda through Congress because of numbers. So it is important in Kenya, especially when you have an incoming president with a progressive agenda. I don't think there is a candidate who has come with a progressive agenda like the one which Raila Amolo Odinga has offered to the nation. And that agenda is an agenda that is going to impact on the lives of all Kenyans.
If Raila in the Azimio Doho, in the Azimio polygamy, does not have enough members of parliament, if he doesn't have enough governors, if he doesn't have enough senators, Raila's share in that government will also be questioned. Raila will not go through if people in this area don't vote. And the people here we have talked to have all agreed to support Raila and to support us so that we can support the government of Raila Amolo Odinga to take over the leadership of this country.
In other news, the Ministry of Health has launched the National Reproductive Health Policy 2022-2032 as it moves to consolidate gains made in the health sector. The policy seeks to address age-specific needs of the entire life spectrum of the Kenyan population and contains bold steps meant to achieve universal quality reproductive health care and services in line with the right to the highest status of health enshrined in the Constitution. Speaking while launching the policy, Health Principal Secretary Susan Mochache, who represented Health CS Mutahi Kagwe, said the Kenyan government recognizes reproductive health as an essential component of the national development agenda. According to Mochache, the policy seeks to address maternal health, adolescents and young adults, reproductive health, as well as marginalized persons and age cohorts in their reproductive health. And Embu residents in Embu town are crying foul over heaps of garbage in the area. Addressing the press, the locals said the uncollected garbage poses a health hazard to them, blaming the county government for negligence. Frederick Kimotho, who is a businessman in Embu town, has blamed local leaders for laxity in addressing their issues. He attributed the mess to corruption and misuse of public resources.
Hii uchafu iko na aibu mbaya sana. Otherwise, kila mtu kutoka pande ya Meru, akifika town Embu, akipita kuelekea Nairobi, hii ni aibu peke yake. Na hakuna mtu amefurahishwa na aibu ya aina hii. Na hii ili iondolewa na ili ni ya Embu ni kaunti Embu ikuwe healthy, italingana yule kiongozi taweka pale mbele atuakilishe.
Huku punda ndiye inakuja kuokota takataka. Na hiyo punda inahesabiwa kama mtu. Ati ni mtu ameajiriwa, lakini punda na tinga ilinunuliwa ya kuwa inaokota takataka. Sasa badala ya tinga ni punda, na hiyo punda inalipwa mwisho ya mwezi kama binadamu ama kama hiyo tinga. Ni pesa inaingia kwa mfuko ya watu. Serikali kuu ituangalie hii masirai.
Takataka ni mingi. Hata tunatembea kwa barabara, maneno ambayo aibu hatuwezi tukaelezea watu, sababu hata tunaona hata makondomu kwa barabara, na hiyo ni aibu kwa wazazi wetu, hata kwa wale wengine. Kwa hivyo ni vizuri wakae chini na wanjiulize kutoka 2017 tuliwafanya nini ndio watufinye hivyo.
As the country prepares for the general election, peace stakeholders in conjunction with the Interior Ministry in Kisii County have launched a two-day peace caravan to heighten calls for peace. County Commissioner Alan Machari said the initiative is geared towards spreading harmony to curb any electoral chaos during and after the election. Machari said stakeholders had previously held sessions with various politicians vying for various seats to strategize on peaceful campaigns to ensure peace and tranquility during the election.
Matumaini ya hii peace caravan ni kuhamasisha watu wetu ndio waweke amani huu wakati wa uchaguzi, na tukiendelea na shughuli yetu ya campaign, tuendeshe campaign ya amani. Hii ni mojawapo tu ya juhudi ambazo tumekuwa nazo kama county, sababu tumekuwa na mikutano na vikundi mbalimbali ile kuweza tu kuongea pamoja na kuhakikisha ya kwamba tunaweka mikakati pamoja ya kuhakikisha tuko na amani.
Wanasiasa mnapojaribu kutumia hawa wananchi wa chini, tungewaambia kwamba wapatieni maisha yao, jueni kwamba kuna maisha baada ya kura.
Let's now look at what is happening internationally. Zimbabwe's central bank says it will start issuing gold coins as legal tender in late July as the country battles to control soaring inflation that has considerably weakened the local currency. The gold coin is named Mosi or Tunya after Victoria Falls and can be converted into cash according to the Apex Bank. The latest measure comes as the country's inflation rate more than doubled last month to 191%, bringing back memories of the hyperinflation of the 2000s that saw the Zimbabwean dollar redenominated 3 times. The local currency would later be abandoned in 2009. The coins are expected to act as a store of value and to reduce the demand for US dollars, something that has been blamed for the weakening value of the local currency. There have been mixed feelings over the news as Zimbabweans' experience with the central bank's policies is often of concern and uncertainty. Many Zimbabweans are known to have lost their savings, including pensions, when the Zimbabwean dollar crashed in 2009. Moving on, NATO's 30 allies signed an accession protocol for Finland and Sweden on Tuesday, allowing them to join the nuclear-armed alliance once Parliament ratify the decision, the most significant expansion of the alliance since the 1990s. The signing at NATO headquarters follows a deal with Turkey at last week's NATO summit in Madrid, where Ankara lifted its veto on the Nordrich membership bids, following assurances that both countries will do more to fight terrorism. In the memorandum text, the countries signed on Tuesday, Finland and Sweden agreed to address Turkey's pending deportation or extradition requests of terror suspects expeditiously and thoroughly in accordance with the European Convention on Extradition.
This is an historic day for Finland, for Sweden, for NATO, and for Euro-Atlantic security. President Putin tried to close NATO's door. We now demonstrate that NATO's door remains open. I commend all allies for moving so quickly in accepting Finland and Sweden's applications for membership. And I want to thank Turkey, Finland and Sweden for their constructive approach. The trilateral agreement they signed at the Madrid summit made today possible. I know all three parties are working hard on the implementation and robust follow-through, especially in the fight against terrorism.
I really hope for a quick ratification process, and as you know, we made a memorandum of understanding between Finland, Sweden and Turkey to address the concern of Turkey when it comes to security and terrorism. And we will honor that memorandum and follow up on that, and we will also have a joint mechanism. So I hope that the three countries, Sweden, Finland and Turkey, could see that this is a good memorandum that leads to that the Turkish parliament also feel that they can ratify our agreement.
Yesu ndiye njia.
Juu ya mwamba huu nitalijenga kanisa langu.
Hapa leo hii tuko na msikiti wa Mariamu, msikiti wa Yesu.
Kumbe kuna msikiti wa Yesu.
Ukiandika msikiti wa Yesu Kristo, mwana wa Mariamu, weka injili ndani, hubiria watu injili.
Kitabu ya Yohana inaandikwa 110 AD na Ufunuo Yohana 248 AD.
Na Qur'ani.
Mimi nakueleza habari ya Yesu kwanza, ufahamu hiyo kwanza.
Ungana na walimu wa neno wanapochambua masuala tata katika Biblia, wakiyalinganisha na vitabu vingine vya kidini.
Qur'an imekuja mwaka 600 baada ya Injili.
Yesu ndiye njia.
Biblia inasema pepo la nini? La uaguzi. Pepo la uaguzi maana yake linaweza ikajua wewe nyumbani kwako umetoka saa ngapi. Unajua mapepo yanajua hivi. Kwamba leo ulikula chakula gani.
Kama Bwana Yesu alitumwa kwa wana wa Israeli peke yao, wengine wetu ambao tunamwamini, basi sehemu yetu iko wapi?
Yesu ndiye njia. Kila Jumamosi saa 2 hadi saa 4 ya usiku kwenye runinga uipendayo ya Hope TV.
Let's continue with business news. Faulu Microfinance Bank has kicked off countrywide business community engagements aimed at supporting SMEs to build resilience in their businesses through access to financing from the bank. This comes on the backdrop of the bank reviewing its trade finance offering to offer collateral and improve efficiency for the existing 7.4 million SMEs in the country through a quick turnaround time. Speaking during the inaugural SME forum held in Thika, Faulu Microfinance Managing Director Apollo Njoroge said the significance of SMEs in the country's economy cannot be ignored. Despite the major contribution to economic developments, SMEs face immense challenges such as access to finance, access to markets, access to information, access to technology, lack of management skills, and unsupportive policies. These, notwithstanding a deposit portfolio of 577.6 billion shillings and a loan book of 638.3 billion shillings. Microfinance banks can control at least 5% or 33 billion shillings of the SME portfolio in Kenya, while commercial banks control 95%, which is valued at 605 billion shillings. Pan-African housing development financier Shelter Africa has warned that the high cost of land and the rising cost of building materials could derail efforts to speed up the development of affordable housing across the globe. Speaking on delivering affordable housing across continents at a special session of the 11th World Urban Forum held between June 26th and 30th in the Polish city of Katowice, Shelter Africa's AG Managing Director and Chief Finance Officer Kingsley Muwowo said there was an urgent need by governments to address the issues of rising costs of land and construction materials, which were hindering efforts to fast-track the provision of affordable housing globally. In Kenya, the cost of land makes up between 40% and 60% of the total cost of a housing unit, like the case with Nairobi, which is the most expensive in the entire continent of Africa. Muwowo also decried the rise in construction cost, which he blamed on old building codes, punitive tax regimes, and high cost of financing such projects in various countries. Moving on, Mivida Homes has appointed Samuel Kariuki as its Chief Executive Officer effective June 1st, 2022. Kariuki joins Mivida Homes from Centum Real Estate Limited, where he was the Managing Director. The company's board member, Koome Gikunda, said Kariuki brings a wealth of experience in investment and real estate and are confident that he is the right person to drive Mivida Homes' growth strategy, including its ambitious affordable housing projects that are in the pipeline. Kariuki's appointment comes at a time when Mivida's inaugural project of 221 housing units at Garden City has been completed. The official handover to investors and buyers is set to take place this month as the developer eyes other projects.
What we've done to date, building on the reputation of our owners, to build that Pan-African, that Kenyan platform and that Pan-African platform, to be the trusted government partner in addressing this affordable housing and affordable mid-market homes agenda, which remains a key public policy issue. So, I see in the next 5 years a Pan-African platform, a trusted partner of the government of Kenya and the government in the region in their quest to address the homes issue. But very importantly, a brand that our customers respect. They know that their savings are very safe with us when they pay us the deposit. I recognize buying a home is one of the most important decisions that people make. They are giving you their savings. Being able to trust you, that you will take their savings, but you will deliver by when you promise and what you promise. That is the sort of brand we are today, and that we just are going to leverage on and build on that. I'm happy that it's not a theoretical discussion I'm having. We've just delivered phase 1 ahead of time to the quality that we promised, and you can only expect better.
And to some sports news now, Christopher Galtier has been named PSG new manager immediately after the departure of Mauricio Pochettino. Galtier, who left Nice last month after guiding them to 5th in League One and a runner-up finish in the French Cup last season, has signed a 2-year deal under the summer of 2024. The 55-year-old is now PSG's 7th coach since the Qatari takeover of the club in 2011. And Manchester United have signed 22-year-old full-back Tyrell Malacia from Feyenoord on a 4-year contract until June 2026 with the option of a further year. The Netherlands international, who made 136 appearances for Feyenoord, is the first new arrival of Erik ten Hag's tenure as United manager following his move from Ajax. The left-sided defender had been in talks with French club Lyon before United hijacked the talks. It is anticipated he will now be part of the United squad that leaves for its pre-season trip to Thailand and Australia on Friday afternoon. Well, that marks the end of our broadcast tonight. Thank you for always tuning in on Hope TV. Till next time, God bless. I'm Tony Omondi, and our sign language interpreter has been Boniface Murithi. Have a good night, and God bless.